Good morning to you, Landon. Hope you had a great weekend. We appreciate you joining us here on this Monday morning, talking some Costco here. As I say that and then I typed in Costco, it's interesting for a different reason because it's one that you'd think maybe it would have done a little bit better throughout this crisis than it really has.
Right. It's been pretty much flat since, you can go back to September of last year. It's basically where it is now, hanging around the 305, 310 area. And you're right. You would think that people stocking up would directly benefit this company. Of course it has, but the stock price really hasn't shown that. But when you look at the LikeFolio data, you can absolutely see how much people have gone in and started and stocked up. But what's really interesting is how much of a sort of back to normal everything is becoming right now. And so, if you pull up the chart of the daily mentions, you can see a massive spike in Costco and then a big pullback. So you can see exactly where the COVID concerns were right in the middle of March. This is actually a 7-day moving average, so it's going to move pretty quickly. The line there, and then of course the daily mentions are in the dark green. But you can see it's actually back to normal now. So what the 7-day moving average is right now, if you kind of take out the Independence Day weekend, of course, people go to Costco more then. But if you kind of take that out, it's really what it was in February. And so I believe that, pending a second wave, and we'll see how all this goes. But right now, it looks like things are back to normal for Costco. What's kind of interesting, though, is that their fiscal quarter, the last one that was already reported, started mid-February, went through early May. So the COVID crisis started in the middle of that quarter. And so the current quarter has a lot of that still in it. So even if we look at our fiscal quarter chart, where we've got the different bars for each quarter, you can see that last quarter was massive. That's that very solid one, the second to last one. And then the far, far right one is the current quarter's pace. It's still very high compared to normal, simply because a lot of the quarantine was in that quarter. But moving forward, again, pending a second outbreak and more concerns, everything seems to be sort of back to normal for Costco. So as a data company at LikeFolio, we're certainly looking forward to being back to normal and spotting outliers, not because of a virus, but because of shopping trends. So pretty interesting what's going on with Costco right now.
Landon, my one question, and I'm looking at your consumer purchase intent, and you're right, they're all coming down, but that's still resting fairly high. And I was thinking about that until you just said that still includes some of the pandemic and the shutdown. But here's my question. Because of Costco's business makeup, because they are a membership base, don't you expect a little more stickiness as compared to Target and Walmart, because you're more inclined to use this, shopping store once you buy a membership to that store? Isn't that kind of one of those things that differentiates Costco from the Walmarts and Targets of the world?
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's a membership. I think it's $100 a year. I'm not exactly sure on that. I think it's around that price. But yeah, if you're talking about people who are looking to stock up in March, if they went out and bought a membership, then yeah, absolutely. They're going to stick with that membership, and probably maybe it's one of those behavior changes that Alex always brings up. This could be something that benefits Costco long term as they bring in more and more people. Now, again, we're seeing that 7-day moving average return basically to February levels. So we'll see. But at the very least, they may have gotten a lot of new members who, once all this does calm down, they start to shop there, and that could be a little bit more sticky. So I think that's a fantastic point. All those people who stocked up in March maybe were new members of Costco, and they may have decided to stick around and change their behaviors. Great point.
Along those lines, Landon, because that's kind of where I was going to, ask you, was a lot of this was, there was irony and there was kind of this viral, meme treatment of Costco around the initial shutdowns with the stocking up. But, Costco doesn't care why you signed up and why you got your membership. But as these new members joined Costco, potentially became shoppers at these stores, did you see a sentiment shift? Was there a move lower as more and more people were using Costco, or did that hold up pretty strong throughout this as well?
There was a sentiment shift. It's actually kind of across the board. Costco, Target, Walmart, they all moved lower, and they're actually coming back to those sort of pre-COVID levels. Interestingly enough, you mentioned happiness. Between those three, Costco, Target, and Walmart, Costco does have the highest happiness. Target's right behind, and Walmart is trailing by quite a bit. So happy customers at Costco. I think initially there was a little frustration when things were sold out. They went there to buy toilet paper and it's all gone, that kind of thing. But overall, I think that happiness is moving back to where it was before. Purchase intent is largely moving back to where it was before. And Costco has a fairly happy customer base. Again, beating Target by a little bit and beating Walmart by a lot.
Yeah, and Kevin, when you look at something like Costco, I actually just typed it in here on my spare device here. I was trying to take a look. I think of the business model of Costco, and I was trying to figure out where does e-commerce fit in here. As we know that that's the general trend. I'm sure that Landon would agree that things are moving from brick and mortar towards e-commerce. This has been accelerated by the pandemic, and it does look like Costco has an e-commerce presence, but it doesn't come to mind, I guess, to the same light as a Target or Walmart online. And how important does that part of a business is it to a company like Costco that does operate with such a different business model, Kevin, that, because you're a member, because it's more wholesale, that maybe that's still a brick and mortar experience for the time being?
And maybe that's where Costco, think about it. We talk about Walmart e-commerce, right? When they bring their numbers, e-commerce is a big part of it. We talk about Target's investment in e-commerce and how they spent money. We don't really mention Costco in terms of an e-commerce presence. Even though they have one, it's not a signature or a foundational part of their business. They're the stock up membership. I mean, they're more, in terms of their business model, they're more in line with, they're like a brick and mortar version of Amazon as opposed to Walmart and Costco because of the membership, like you have at Amazon. So maybe that's their next chapter for Costco is once you're a member, you point and click and that stuff gets delivered to your house. So, we don't mention the words Costco and e-commerce very, very much. So it'll be interesting to see, is that the future? It should be, if you ask me, because e-commerce isn't going anywhere. That's only going to get bigger as this pandemic has solidified e-commerce and delivery of things in people's lives. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. It's probably something that you should be monitoring if you're a stockholder or a trader of Costco, guys.
And Landon, I'll give you the last thoughts here. As I was kind of clicking through, it looks like you're actually able to buy even if you're not a member on Costco, and that there's some members only savings. So as they build out that model, does that potentially cannibalize this members only model? As it's like one is kind of insulated from that, but as you focus on the e-commerce side, you're kind of getting people to maybe consider a shift in their behavior away from your traditional model. So it's interesting, and I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, and really, just on Costco in general, like how LikeFolio is feeling about it as things have come back to normal.
Sure. So I think that, I think that what's interesting about Kevin's point is there is actually a little bit of a discovery element to Costco. You go in there and you're not sure what you want, and they give you these giant carts that can hold a ton of stuff, and you go in there and you don't know if you're going to get a gross of pretzels that day or whatever it may be. So you want to see what's on sale, and I think that it's a bit of a Five Below model in that you walk in, you're not sure what you're going to walk out with a lot of the time. And so I do think that the stores are very valuable for that reason. But also, yes, people are moving away from going to stores. They love the delivery. This has been a behavior change. They love shopping online and getting things delivered. So I think that Costco definitely needs to invest in that. And then they've got the distribution centers. They've got tons of stores all over the country. So I think it's a good model for them to look at. But I don't want to discount the delivery, or I'm sorry, the discovery element of walking in and just kind of not sure what you're going to buy, and you walk out with a bunch of stuff. Overall, I would say that Costco at basically the same price over the last 9 or 10 months is sort of attractive. It seems like it's falling behind against the market. The markets are doing really well, and Costco is just kind of hanging in there. They've got a very solid customer base. They're happy. Consumers continue to go there. So I think as a value play, they're a good price here, and I would look to pick up shares as on any kind of dip. I don't think that they're gangbusters right now, but you showed that chart of Amazon earlier. That was amazing. The prices that they're at. So, between the two, I think Amazon's closer to being overvalued than undervalued, and Costco's undervalued. So, definitely like it here moving forward and on any dips.